All right, welcome back to the next installment. So we have our A roll down, we have our B roll down, looking good. We have a great content video, but we need to add some finesse. We want to begin to add a little bit of flair, a little bit of je ne sais quoi, if you will. Now, Premiere has a lot of tools that you can use to begin to add flair and essence to your video, but we're gonna go over just a few simple ones. The first one, we're gonna create an intro for our video. It's a way to kind of introduce a little bit of branding, a little bit of an idea of who we are and this video and what we're trying to do. So let's get our intro started. Now our intro is gonna be just almost like a boomerang-esque kind of little fun thing. I've included 4 images in your downloads that you could have, 4 images of me with the Monstera that ended up being the final thing. And some of the images, as you can see, are kind of cutesy, kind of fun. You know, we're just having a good time with this plant, right? So we want to create a little quick snippet of these 4 images and kind of repeat them for 4 or 5 seconds and then add some fun text on top. So let's do that. The first thing we need to do is make space for our intro. The intro is going to be at the beginning of the video. And so what we're going to do is hit the A key. It turns on the track select forward tool. And you can see these double arrows. When we click, it'll highlight everything from where it is beyond. So say if I click here, it only highlights from there beyond. But we want to do everything, so we're going to click that. And then we're going to click and drag and just scoot everything over, give ourselves some room to play, basically. Click the V key, V as in Victor, to get back to your regular selection tool, and your playhead should be at the front. The first thing we're going to do is just take our first image and drag it onto the timeline. Now you already see it's really big. It's a lot bigger than the native size of the frame. So we're gonna go ahead and go to our effect controls and we're gonna go ahead and scale it down. And I would say go ahead and scale it down to about 33 or so. We just wanna make sure we don't have those black boxes there on the sides. And remember to scale down. I am clicking and dragging to the left and right to change that. Or if you know what value you want, you can just click once and it'll highlight and you can type in a number and that'll change it for you. And then I also want to not have my head be cut off too much, so scoot it down a little bit, and that looks pretty good. That doesn't look bad. Now, this is a little too long of a clip. We only need it to be a few frames long. Make sure your playhead is all the way at the beginning of the clip, and just go +8. And so that's going to scoot it over about 8 frames. Well, not even about, it will be 8 frames. It'll scoot it over 8 frames, and then we're going to make sure that it goes to there. So end the clip at the 8 frames. Then we're going to drag in the next clip. And we're going to bring it in and essentially do the same thing we just did for this first one. So resize it and all of that. To make it go by faster, we're going to click on the first clip, highlight motion, click on it by highlighting it, hit Command-C, Control-C on a Mac or on a PC, go back to our new clip, and you can see it's too big, right? Then Control-V, Command-V, boom. It has taken our scale and positioning and applied it to this one as well. Now at the beginning of this clip, to lock it in, remember hold Shift and drag to lock to place. Go ahead and highlight in the time code and hit +8. That scoots it over 8 frames again. And then make it that size and repeat this for the other 2. And then make it that size again. Now let's play this back. Yeah, it's like a little boomerang effect, right? It's like a little, ooh, look at these fun little photos of me with the plant going back and forth. Now that's obviously way too short for anything to happen. So we've already built our little template here. We have our 4 photos. They're in there. They're the right exact length we need them to be. So we're just gonna highlight them and we're gonna hit Command-C or Control-C if you're on a PC. Align our playhead by holding Shift to the very end. And then we're gonna hit Command-V, Control-V. And now let's do it about 3 more times. And then let's play it back. Yeah, that's pretty cute. So then we're gonna take our space here at the front and we're going to highlight it, hit the delete key, boom, we have it all connected now. Now this is cute or whatever, right? But it would be a lot better if we, again, begin to incorporate some branding into it. So let's add a little title sequence to this. And let's also add some color. I think some color would be nice. So I want to put like a little color overlay on these photos. So that way it feels more like a little intro to this video. You can begin to know who I am, what this video is maybe going to be about, give some context. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go down here to our new item button. We're going to click it and we are going to create a color matte. This will come in really handy when you're just wanting to have a solid color available to drop onto your footage to just do a variety of things. So whatever usually are the settings that Premiere has, it's usually going to just mimic what the timeline's video settings are. So go ahead and click OK usually for that. And then it's going to bring up a color picker. So this is a plant video, we're doing plant stuff. Let's make our color be some variation of green that we like. This actually, I kind of like this green, this looks pretty good. Yeah, let's go with that. I'm gonna hit OK. And then I'm gonna name it. Let's name it green. And you'll see it now appears here in our project panel because it's essentially a new asset that we can now use and reference. So I'm gonna click on it and I'm gonna drag it over on top of our images and make sure it goes the length of our images. And you can see that now all we see is green. So that's not ideal. But again, highlight our green, go to our effects panel, effects controls, and I wanna make the opacity, how much the green seeps through, a little bit lower so we see my images under. So let's make it like, I don't know, 60% maybe. Now you'll notice that a keyframe began to form here. For this, we don't want that to happen. So go ahead and click the toggle animation button to get rid of that and hit OK. We want our green to stay 60% the entire time. And this will make more sense to you in a second. So we've added this little overlay of me with green. Okay, we're getting there. Let's kind of give this a little bit of a title now. Let's give this a little bit of just like some text coming in to, again, kind of make it a little fun, okay? So here's what we're gonna do next. We are now going to begin to incorporate using some of the essential graphics that we've been holding off on. So go ahead and move your playhead to the beginning and hit the T key, which will bring up your text tool, or you can just hit the type tool on the side. But again, shortcuts are awesome. Hit the T key, click relatively in the center of the frame, relatively, it doesn't need to be perfect. We'll fix it in a second. Click once. You'll notice a new graphic has appeared in our V3 video track, which is fine, and we can now type. So I'm gonna name this video Planting with Hollies. Okay. And you can see it appears there. You know, it's just some text. It's not doing anything. It's a default text font, nothing too amazing. But that's okay. We're gonna make it amazing. So now we're gonna go to our essential graphics. What I've created is already there. Awesome. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and change the font to what we want. And so to do that, go ahead and make sure all of the characters of the text you have is highlighted. And you can do that by just double clicking on the layer here, like so, and it's highlighted all of it. I'm gonna change this to Open Sans Pro. It's a nice simple font, easy to read. Open Sans Regular, excuse me. It's really simple, easy to read, and it's not too bad. I think I'm gonna go bold because it's a title, right? We want people to know it's a title. I'm also gonna change this to be center aligned, so I'm gonna mess with our center alignment, which is gonna do some things to it, that's fine, don't freak out. And then up here at the top, I'm gonna make sure that our text is completely aligned in the center of the frame, vertically and horizontally. So if I hit this one, it'll center it horizontally, and that one will center it vertically. So now it's in the exact center of our frame. And then you know what else I want to do? I want to add a little bit of a drop shadow to this text to make sure that you can really see it against the green and the images, the sequence of images that I've got going. So we're going to come down here to the appearance section, and we're just going to turn on the shadow. Nice, and you can see the shadow appeared. So let's click away from it for a second and see what we've got. And let's play it back. Okay, and so, you know, this isn't bad.
Hey everyone.
That isn't bad. That's a nice little intro to kind of introduce us into what's about to happen. We're planting with Halise. Awesome. I still want to add a little bit of some extra, just a little bit of je ne sais quoi again. So what I want to do is I want this text to not be there, then fade in as it sort of moves up into this position where it is right now. Be there, you can see it all kind of working together, and then go back down and fade out. And that's how we're gonna get into the next part which I wanna talk about, which is keyframing. Keyframing is the basis of a lot of things in not only Premiere Pro, but After Effects as well. This is essentially how you begin to build graphical elements, and everything you learn about creating graphics is built around keyframes. So, here we go. We're gonna make our planting with Halise text do something a little fun, okay? So while it's highlighted, we're gonna go over to our effects controls panel, and we're not gonna touch the graphics portion of our text control panel. We're just gonna touch the video itself. Basically, I want everything that this clip here is to follow what I'm about to change here. So we're gonna mess around with just the video portion of our effects controls panel. And what we're gonna do is we are going to turn on these little toggle animations. They're little stopwatches. And this is how you begin to put the different keyframes to tell it, at this point, do here. At this point, make this happen. And this is how you begin to turn on those controls. So we're gonna turn on the opacity, which is already on. It's at 100, which is cool. And then we're gonna turn on the position, where it ends up. And so I want to make sure to have one keyframe at the beginning for both of them. Then I want to scoot the playhead over just a little bit. Not too much, maybe by the second photo. By the time the second photo appears. And then I'm going to hit these keyframes again. Now, I'm going to hit this back button to go back to the previous keyframe. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to then go to our Y position and just lower it down just a little bit, right? And you'll see now when I hit play, it moves up. It moves back up to the spot because I had already had a keyframe there that said, at this point, be at 965/40, which is centered if you're working in a 1080p timeline. Okay? Now, at the beginning of here, I want the opacity to be 0. I want it to be gone. So that way by the time it gets to the second keyframe, it's at 100. So it fades in. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. Now, I want to add a little more flair. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is cool. It's not bad, okay? But I want to add a little more flair. So what I always do to my keyframes, especially here in Premiere Pro, I right click on them and then I go to ease in, because you want it to ease into whatever this metric is now. And then on the front one, I go ease out of whatever metric I have set. And I do that for each one. Ease in. On this front one, it's gonna be ease out. And that is what helps give the animation just make it not so jarring, not so like robotic. It smooths it a little bit more. So now let's watch it. Yeah, I'm liking that. I think that looks good. That's like just a nice little subtle thing. Now I want the text to go away the same way it appeared. So right about the second to last image, I'm gonna put my playhead there. I'm gonna make sure that my text is highlighted. I'm gonna go to my effects panel and I'm gonna click the position. and I'm gonna click the opacity again because I want it to stay up until that point. Then I'm gonna go towards the end, add a new keyframe, let it drop down a bit, again come down to the opacity, new keyframe. Now let's watch. I think that looks good. I think that looks pretty good. And we have it fade out really nicely. Hey everyone, I'm Halise. I think that's nice. That's a nice little easy, subtle touch that you can do to text that you have in your video. I'm gonna go ahead and move and make sure that the end keyframes are right at the edge of the clip so I get the most out of that movement. But that looks pretty good. I like that a lot. Now, something to think about is you can then take this idea of animated text and add it to different parts of the video to reinforce things I'm saying. So right here, I'm beginning to talk about overview of what I'm gonna do. I think this is another great place to add some text. So I'm going to copy the text I've created. Again, work smarter, not harder with this. I'm gonna take this text, I'm gonna hit Command-C, Control-C. I'm gonna line up my playhead, and I'm going to make sure that V3, okay, is now highlighted because I want what I'm about to do to go on that track, not any of these tracks. And I'm gonna hit Command-V, Control-V, and paste it there. Now, this is too high, right? Now, I have it designed already to where it comes up, it stays there for a while, and it goes away. That looks pretty good. So what I'm gonna do is I actually want it to be a lower third. I want it to appear more towards the bottom of the frame. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna come over here into the essential graphics side, and I'm gonna move the text down. And I'm gonna move it to about right there. And then I'm gonna change my text to semi-hydro. Semi-hydroponics. Parentheses, LECA. Again, giving context to what this is about, right? And there you go. Let's watch our text. Propagated monstera that I have been propagating for some time now, and transfer it to the LECA system. And I actually don't say semi-hydroponics LECA until a little bit later, so let's move it down. Let's move it to here. To the LECA system, or what is also known as semi-hydroponics. So this is a way to grow plants without using dirt. That's awesome. And so now you see how you can begin to add text to your video to reinforce some of the steps through the directions you're taking, all of that kind of stuff. Maybe you want to make sure people know exactly how much to measure out of something or something like that. You can put all of that kind of stuff in text, and that reinforces the idea, and again adds a little bit of that flair, a little bit of that je ne sais quoi to your video.